So you've been freezing in your pool, or maybe your old heater just gave up the ghost, right? You're probably wondering exactly what it takes, and honestly, what it costs to fix that right now. Well, let's jump right into this practical explainer on the true costs of heating your San Diego pool in 2026. We're cutting straight to the chase using the latest expert data from Splash Pro Pools. No generic national averages here, folks. We're zeroing in on exactly what you need to know as a San Diego homeowner, from the hardware itself to those sneaky hidden installation fees.
We're keeping things super clear today. Here is our agenda. First, the true cost of heating. Second, gas versus heat pumps. Third, sizing your pool heater. And finally, number 4, installation and hidden costs. Let's get going.
All right, part 1, the true cost of heating.
Let's be real for a second. When you decide it's time to heat things up, that first quote you get can absolutely give you some serious sticker shock. It catches so many homeowners completely off guard. The thing you have to understand is the iceberg reality. The price on the box of the heater, that's literally just the tip of the iceberg. You might see a unit online for $2 or $3 grand, but the total cost here in San Diego is all about that hidden mass underneath the waterline. We're talking gas lines, dedicated electrical circuits, plumbing tie-ins, municipal permits, the whole shebang. Those are the pieces that actually dictate your final bill.
Before we get into the weeds, let's just anchor your expectations. For a typical residential pool, a gas heater is going to run you somewhere between $2,800 and $5,500 installed. It's awesome for fast, on-demand heat. Now, an electric heat pump will cost a bit more up front, usually between $4,000 and $7,500, but that's really built for frequent swimmers who want much lower running costs. And then there's solar. Solar systems range from $4,500 to $8,500. They give you the absolute lowest running costs with zero fuel bills, but they are definitely the slowest to actually heat up the water.
Moving right along to Section 2, gas versus heat pump.
So, while solar is a great option on its own, most folks are choosing between gas and an electric heat pump. And really, this boils down to a classic battle of upfront cost versus running cost. Gas heaters, they are incredibly fast. If it's Friday night and you want to jump in the spot right away, gas will have it hot in under an hour. But the catch is, it burns through pricey SDG&E gas really fast, which gets super expensive if you run it every single day. On the flip side, we have electric heat pumps. These pull heat right out of the surrounding air, which means they need ambient temps above roughly 50 degrees to work well. But hey, since San Diego rarely drops below that, a heat pump thrives here. It runs super efficiently almost year-round. It's a slow and steady heat, maybe raising the temp just a few degrees over several hours, but it is way, way cheaper to operate.
So how do you decide? Well, it really comes down to your lifestyle. You should totally go with a gas heater if you only swim occasionally, if you really prioritize heating up a spa fast, or if you're on a tighter budget up front and you've already got a properly sized gas line ready to go. On the other hand, a heat pump is your best bet if you swim all the time, want to stretch out your swimming season efficiently, and your home's electrical panel can handle a dedicated 240-volt circuit. Actually, a lot of pools end up using a hybrid setup, a heat pump for everyday pool heating and a smaller gas heater just to crank up the spa fast. Best of both worlds, right?
All right, let's jump into Section 3, sizing your pool heater.
You know, overpaying for BTUs you don't even need or getting a unit that's just too small are the most common ways these local installs go completely wrong. A tiny heater will just run nonstop and never actually reach your target temp, while an oversized one, that just means you burned a bunch of cash on the purchase price for no reason. If you're going the gas route, you're generally aiming for between 250,000 and 400,000 BTUs. The exact sweet spot depends on things like your pool's total volume, whether you have an attached spa, and honestly, even how much wind hits your yard. Naturally, bigger pools and colder target temps will push you closer to that 400,000 mark.
But if you're going with a heat pump, you're actually looking at a lower range, 110,000 to 140,000 BTUs. Now keep in mind, a true professional installer is always going to size this based on your actual pool gallons. They shouldn't just be guessing or glancing at a generic rule of thumb chart. They really need to look at your specific equipment setup before prescribing a unit.
And that brings us to Section 4, installation and hidden costs.
To really get why the labor portion of your bill costs what it does, we have to look at the actual process. This isn't just buying an appliance and plugging it into the wall. It's a full-on, multi-step construction and utility job. You've got 4 main steps. First, they have to create a level, non-combustible pad with the right clearances. Second is the plumbing tie-in to get the heater hooked up to your existing circulation loop. And heads up, older plumbing almost always needs some adapters or repairs right off the bat here. Third is the fuel or power connection. And finally, startup and testing, where they fire it up, check the flow, Verify the gas combustion or refrigerant and make sure it actually holds the temperature.
Now let's talk about step 3 for a second, that fuel or power connection. This is absolutely the single biggest reason your quote might come in higher than the base sticker price. If you want a heat pump, you simply must have a dedicated 240-volt circuit. If your home's electrical panel is older and maxed out, you're looking at a panel upgrade, which is a totally separate and, yeah, pretty expensive line item. The exact same logic applies to gas. If your current gas line is too small for a modern high BTU heater, running a brand new line is going to seriously bump up your final cost.
We also have to factor in the local rules. Now, if you're just doing a straight swap, like taking out a broken gas heater and hooking up a new one to the exact same properly sized line, you might not even need a permit. But for major changes, oh yeah, you do. Your local building department is very likely going to require a permit pulled by your licensed installer for any new gas lines or new 240-volt circuits. So that naturally adds a bit of time and some extra administrative fees to the project.
And here's why generic national advice just doesn't work for us. You have to remember our hyper-local San Diego realities. If you live near the coast, that salty marine layer is brutally hard on gas heat exchangers. You'll definitely want to ask your installer about corrosion-resistant models. On the other hand, if you're further inland, we've got notoriously hard water that scales up those exchangers and coils way faster than in places with softer water. That means strict, routine maintenance is absolutely crucial. And of course, you always got to factor in those SDG&E utility rates when you're calculating your true day-to-day operating budget.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a highly practical thought. If your current heater is acting up, should you even be quoting a new install or just trying to fix it? Well, the folks at Splash Pro Pools recommend the $800 10-year rule. Basically, if your heater is more than 10 years old and a repair quote comes in over $800, especially if you've got corrosion in the heat exchanger, it's usually the smart move to just bite the bullet and replace the whole thing. But if it's a newer unit with a minor hiccup, definitely just repair it. So, considering your own backyard setup and swimming habits, what's it going to be? Are you leaning toward the blazing speed of gas or the steady efficiency of a heat pump? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, here's to a much warmer swimming season ahead.